Today, I want to show you how to create these amazing miniature houses that I've seen floating around on social media and on websites such as First Dibs and Mulroney and Rogers. I was searching for decoration ideas for Halloween, and I knew that I wanted it to be something substantial. As I perused online, I began looking for new and vintage decor ideas, and lo and behold, I found dollhouses that had been converted and renovated into haunted houses. My goal here is to decorate a fireplace in my room, which has a large 5-foot mantel, with a house sculpture that will, in the end, be seasonless. I want to create it in a lean-to style so that the house fits on my mantel, which has a 7-inch depth. So really, I'm only going to be doing 2 small side walls, a front wall, and a roof. Now, I need to make sure that this is simple and easy to execute. I also want this to look historic. So I'm going to go with a New England style colonial, circa Salem and those kind of vibes. I know that it will inherently look a little bit creepy. I know that it will definitely look historic. If you have any questions about American style homes, there are many books out there that discuss the history of American architecture, but one in particular that I would recommend is A Field Guide to American Houses by Virginia Savage McAllister. If you want to choose a style from overseas, you're on your own, but a Google image search would not hurt. I also would like to add that I'm doing this with materials that I already own. I don't want to spend any money on this project except for maybe the add-on decorations that I will change out from season to season. But part of the inspiration for this project is the fact that these house miniatures start at about $199 online, and when you go into the antique wooden versions, they are thousands of dollars. I will be using pre-gessoed cardboard, corrugated cardboard from shipment packages that I detailed in how to condition them in a previous YouTube video, which I will link here and I will link below. In this video, I take you through how to condition and treat packaging waste into usable canvas materials for different mediums for your art. The 2 large pieces that I'm using were created in that video, and one has a terrible painting on the back side that I won't make you suffer through looking at, but I'm glad that I found a good use for it in the long run. Now it is time. Now, if you stopped the video and you followed my previous post about how to condition cardboard with acrylic gesso, you're ahead of the game. If you didn't, I suggest you pause here, go and review that video, because it has a lot of steps in it to getting a flat, gessoed, sturdy piece of cardboard. You will be able to do that for free from your old shipping boxes. I'm starting with 2 very large pieces of cardboard. I know that my house will be 6 inches deep, so that it has 1 inch in front of it, so that in case I want to add fencing or figurines or pumpkins, something of that nature, I can just tape them to the 1-inch ledge that sits in front of the house. I want the house to be redecorated season to season, as I said before, so I'm keeping the house as plain and as simple as possible. This is going to prove very time-saving with the architectural style that I picked. I recommend that you stay simple, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't fit your house style, go more ornate, use different materials, have at it. On my treated cardboard with a pencil, a straight edge, a triangle, and my reference photo, which I cannot post here, I began to map out the facade of my house. I roughly guessed at how large I wanted my house to be, and drew a scored line there on the cardboard horizontally where I thought the roof line would begin. I didn't cut all the way through the cardboard because the roof would just easily bend backwards. I could then shingle it. We'll worry about that roof part later. Now it's time to start on the facade. So what I do with that large rectangle is I lay down my vertical center and my horizontal center, and I start from there. I want this house to be symmetrical. My reference house is symmetrical, it's settled and sagged and things like that. But I ended up removing 2 sets of windows and shortening the house. I also enlarged the windows on my new house miniature so that they were much larger, you could see in a much bigger picture. Now this, in turn, takes it away from its colonial historic reference. But again, this is a miniature. I want it to be for design. I think it references the old houses enough to where people get the idea, but you can push and pull in this area to change what you want to do. I must mention here that this type of craft is my favorite. I know that this type of architectural crafting and like cardboard cutting is not for everyone, but it's definitely something that is absolutely one of my favorite type of projects to do. Even in my watercolor art, I specialize in architecture and usually implement some form of architectural sketching into my pieces. One of the reasons I chose this architecture is that it's very basic and simple in regards to the millwork that goes on the exterior. After I had done the windows and doors, I copied the style of millwork from my reference photo by cutting out large strips of cardboard in different widths. As you'll see, I can apply those later to the top of my house using glue and stack them to create more dimension and to make the woodwork look more ornate. I want to paint this house entirely in one move. I'm using artist acrylic, so I want to get everything assembled and then I'll go ahead and paint the house in one step. The shingles for the roof will be a different story. I will pre-paint a large piece of cardboard in the color that I want the shingles to be, and then we'll cut the shingles from that piece of cardboard. Please note that if you have not done the steps in my previous video about conditioning cardboard, this is going to be a disaster. Your cardboard is going to warp, it is going to buckle, it is going to ripple. It's going to be a disaster. So you need to pre-gesso this and press it, which takes almost a day. So please stop and go to that video. Now, having the drawing underneath what I'm going to finally paint helps me cut out the windows and things like that, and helps me do the measuring for the millwork manually. Now what you'll see in the video is that I started by laying down glue and then measuring my millwork pieces, and I did this multiple times even after I corrected myself to not do this because that causes an absolute mess with wet glue and graphite. What you want to do is you want to lay down your long piece of wood and then cut it where your lines meet, then glue it. Then you move on to the next piece, cut it, glue it. That's the order you're supposed to go in. Hopefully you can get that from the footage, but I didn't do that for a while in the beginning. So once you've got all these millwork pieces done and they're all glued, what you're gonna notice is some of them start to bow and pop up off the cardboard. You're still gonna have a little bit of water absorption between these acrylic mediums. So what you need to do is you need to clean off any excess glue, and then you need to press the entire thing once it's done. So what I did was I laid down a cutting board. I then put the house with the millwork on top. Now, if you're doing multiple layers of millwork in thickness, do not finish all of this before you press it. Just do the first layer across. There's a couple of little extra ledges above my door and below one of my windows. I did not apply those this round. I put a 2 foot by 2 foot clipboard on top and then a huge tub of art supplies on top of that and let it dry overnight. The next day, the house was crisp and perfect and completely dry. It looked awesome. And I'd love to show you a photo of that, but you're gonna have to wait till part 2, so see ya, bye.